Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome, Den family. Welcome to everyone. Den Mother Amanda. This is another video on medical benefits for the transsexual community, transgender. For those of us who are doing going through a medical transition. And if you've seen the title, yes, it's about why some medical benefits no longer are being denied or are no longer being covered, um, and why it may not be being covered. And I'm sure there are a bunch of reasons I believe are going into why, um, and it's just ridiculous for those of us who are trans and need these medical benefits, especially for surgeries. Um, and this is going to be my personal experience also. Okay, about 6 months ago, I applied through my doctor at New York University Medical Hospital in New York City. Submitted for payment through insurance for facial feminization surgery. Okay, and it kept on coming up being denied. Being denied after the first one, and put in multiple requests for reevaluation to get it paid for, and it still came up denied. And it's been coming up medically not necessary. Okay. If anyone's out there that knows what they're looking for when it comes to facial stuff, yes, my face has been drastically feminized by estrogen, and there's still masculine parts to it that are at least noticeable by me and probably some others that know what they're looking for. They call saying that it's medically not medically necessary, which you're wrong answer. I believe. Not only is it very dysphoric, depression issues over it, absolutely. And if I'm getting denied the medical coverage being paid for by insurance, I know I'm not the only one. And go over some of the things that I've seen happening out there that myself and others have been warning was going to happen. Buck Angels talked about it a lot. Blair White has talked about it a lot. And others have talked about it a lot. Okay. That this is going to start happening because of certain things that are happening out there with woke trans activism. Okay. One of the things is that they say, and this is ridiculous, and it is, which is a lie. This is going to be a lie that they say. People say that you don't need gender dysphoria to medically transition. Okay, and that has been the number one reason why medical benefits are getting paid for medical interventions and surgeries for the transsexual community. Okay, and yes, some transgender people too. Yes, I don't like calling myself transgender anymore, is because it does not mean anymore what it was meant to mean. It was meant to be a replacement for transsexual. Okay, but yeah, well, it doesn't mean that anymore. It means a whole lot of other things. That mean a lot of other transsexual people. It's just no, we don't fit there. I know I don't. I don't fit in that category. It's not that I don't have friends that are in that are in that category. Myself and others just don't fit in there. Yeah. Because if you don't have gender dysphoria, what is your really reason why a reason to want to medically transition? Are you an incel trying to get medical benefits paid for, and you're going to lie and lying about having gender dysphoria to get it paid for? Because that's one of the instructions in the Transmaxing manifestos. If you don't have the gender dysphoria, you go to a mental health therapist and you lie about it. You do whatever you have to convince them that you are, which is a bunch of BS. It's crap, and that's the stuff that's going to be killing us is that we're really trans. Because it is actually starting to affect whether insurances will pay for these medical benefits and procedures for the trans community. The ones of us who actually need this stuff to take place so we can feel more comfortable in our own bodies and living our lives day to day. Yeah, and we could probably do a whole episode on that. Okay, and I've done a couple episodes on transmaxing. Okay. Another reason. Which is another lie. Trans women and some men are saying trans women are women. Sorry, no. Trans women are not trans women. Why do you think it's trans women? It's that way for a reason. Because biology matters. It's a fact. Whether you transition or not, I don't care who you are transitioning, whether it's male to female or female to male. Your biology and your sex at birth is what you are and what you will be till the day you die. It will be till the day I die. I'm a trans female, trans woman who was born male. I still am biologically male, and I will die biologically male. And people are getting fed up with people lying like that, with those lies. And they're fighting back. And what's going on is this: us that were really transsexual need to medically transition because we have gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder, because it's a mental health issue. It really is. That's why we need and want these things done. Not every trans person needs all of the surgeries that are needs or wants all of the surgeries that are available, no matter which direction they're going. And I totally get that. I totally understand that, and that's fine. That's all good. That's still good if the other people are good with it. Okay. I'm very dysphoric about some of the things on my facial appearance. Hopefully, I'm covering up well enough. I know there's one that's just obvious. I can. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, it's It's just ridiculous. Um, yeah, saying trans women are women, or the people were saying trans men are men. No, trans women are biologically male. Trans men are biologically women, female. Okay, those are just the absolute facts, whether you like them or not. Facts don't care. It's not going to change. It's really not. Another thing that is not helping at all either is trans women wanting to get into women's sports. Have been, and the women are losing out on things that can help them in the future. College scholarships, possible investment in job security, job opportunities later on, and or seriously hurt and injured. I mentioned a few of them before. The high school volleyball player, where a boy was identifying as a trans girl, spiked the ball in a girl's face, ended up with a concussion, some other injuries that are ending up permanent. The trans swimmer in college, Leah Thomas, who went from 400 and some in the men's division to number one in almost overnight in the women's division. Two trans male boxers were in the most recent Olympics, and they fought over who was going to get the gold medal and the silver medal. One of the women stopped fighting the one person that won the gold medal because she was going to get injured. She could feel it. This is a woman that was trained to box against women. MMA fighter Fallon Fox, who fractured a woman's orbital rim in 39 seconds. I haven't heard much after that, but if she partially or permanently blind in that one, it would not surprise me. And y'all think this BS is okay? And then the biggest travesty of all, biggest tragedy, travesty, whatever you want to call it, is the medical butchering of children to medically transition a child. It starts with this drug called Lupron, which convicted sexual criminals and deviants are given to cause chemical castration. Now we're going to use some other different examples. Chloe Cole went to sat down in Senate and gave a speech in front of Senate. She was invited to do that on what transition had done to her at 14 years old. I believe she was given Lupron at 12. Had a double mastectomy at 14. And apparently trans surgeries on children are being done. Child butchering. She's detransitioned because it wasn't right for her. Because she got the wrong kind of mental health therapy. And we'll get into that too. Another person that I mentioned quite a lot, who is still, after all the problems she went through, is still happy with being going transition after transitioning. Okay, Jazz Jennings, where these lupron and cross-sex hormones has affected her depression for the worse. She wasn't able to get enough development for bottom surgery and went through at least 4 surgeries for bottom surgery because there wasn't enough tissue to use. Child butchering. YouTube Brianna Ivy. I still cry when I listen to her story. They butchered her. Shapeshifter. Her experience wasn't all that great either. Well, she goes by he now because she's detransitioned. She still looks female. And that's okay. That is totally okay for her, for him to do that. And why I say him, because that's how this person wants, Shapeshifter wants it. And I'm okay with that. Detransitioners need to be respected and listened to. 2 of them that I've talked about, did have not detransitioned. You woke activists that are putting forth your filth is making it worse, not better. You're making it worse. And for me to be able to get that facial feminization surgery that I'd want desperately need to get, I may end up having to move and relocate to somewhere where it's more expensive for me to live. And I've got a limited income. Very limited income. And what I mean by very limited income, $1,022 a month. How am I supposed to pay for that? Pocket. How are others who are on limited income supposed to pay for that out of pocket? Destroying everything. People that are saying the crap you're saying are just destroying it for everything that all of us have fought for us transsexuals to get medical help and insurance to help. What if it was somebody you cared about? And what if they actually committed suicide because of it? Because of what you're doing? Think about that. Really think about it. And I'll tell you why I don't agree with a child medically transitioning and starting out on Lupron. Chemical castration. Told you one already. Used for two things was what it was meant for. Cancer treatments and chemical castration for convicted sex offenders. I'm glad I didn't start transitioning as a child. And why? Even though I knew I felt different and I knew why, had a really stable reason as to why, I wouldn't have known if puberty would have changed that. Children currently don't know if puberty will change that, and neither do you. If you're an adult, you're smarter than that. Don't act stupid. You know, children change their mind on some of the most simple things on the face of the planet, like changing what their favorite color is. Or they'll put some clothes on. I don't want to wear these now. I want to wear something different. If they're indecisive on something that simple, how in the hell can they be sure on something that they have no idea on how irreversible it is? Should they actually change their mind? But no, apparently you don't give a damn about the children being butchered medically. There's people that are fighting against it. Speaking out against it. I'm one of them. And I'm going to continue because it's not right. It's already been proven by 19 different studies in Europe that you leave a child to go through their natal puberty, 80% will not be to turn out to not transition because they would have found out by going through puberty that it wasn't right for them. They might turn out lesbian, gay, or bisexual and not trans, or maybe even just straight. 20%. They found out up to 20% will transition. Okay, I can deal with those numbers. As long as they're doing it as an adult, where they can make decisions for themselves. Can't as a child. I'm talking younger than the age of 18. All of y'all in the medical field or parents that are going for children to medically transition, what happens to your child if they do transition? What happens if they medically transition and surgically transition and decide this wasn't right for them? Because they still need a parent's signature. And the only thing currently, and it's been like this for a long time, that a child can do at the age of 17 with a parent's signature is join the military. Now, I could possibly see it at 17 with the parents' parental consent. I'll prefer 18 or older, though. Because the military is easy to finish the contract and then not re-enlist. That doesn't cause any unchangeable effects to a person's body. Child can't smoke until they're 21. They're not supposed to anyway. Can't drink alcohol until they're 21. Can't get tattoos until they're 18. But apparently they can rearrange their body parts. And they know that they can do this. Are you serious? My heart hurts more for them than it does for me. Now, while on those puberty blockers, and they for whatever reason do decide, okay, we're going to go through this because it's real. Now that they can, now they can't, and they have no way to afford it other than with medical insurance. And just imagine now, insurance doesn't pay for it. And you know that they've been borderline suicidal. Had suicidal ideations and or suicide attempts. What happens then? When they can't do it on their own as an adult because they can't afford it and insurance won't pay for it anymore. What happens then? Same with you doctors that are performing it on children. Not all doctors are. And I know this too. And that's awesome sauce. Thank you to those that are in the doctors and medical staff that are helping trans people medically, surgically transition that aren't doing this. Kudos, seriously. You're rock stars. You really are. God. Now, mental health. Now, I will tell you what I don't agree with when it comes to mental health. Okay? No, I don't agree with conversion therapy because that can tend to be barbaric. And I do not agree with affirmative therapy. Not even a little bit. I don't agree with it for children, and I do not agree with it for adults. But how do you know it's true? You damn well don't. And you know you don't. A kind of therapy that the people need, trans people need, is the kind of the trans therapy that comes from the heart. And I believe most of them that even if they do think that it's okay to do that, I try to believe that it does come from a place of care and compassion. But affirmation therapy to start with, no, especially for a child. No, stop it. Just stop. There was a time when mental health therapy meant asking those caring, compassionate questions and looking into the person's past, see if something might be influencing you from the past, and if it is, how much. Because I've had stuff from my past that could have influenced it. I waited until I was 48. And that was for social transition. I'm 48. Those things that happened in my past, I put them to rest. I think about them, yeah, I think about them, and I remember them. They no longer harm me because I dealt with them. That's the thing that needs to happen. If there's stuff in the past that needs to be dealt with. Because if it isn't dealt with, a medical transition could be, very well could be, the wrong thing for that individual person. This isn't a one size fits all. That's just not. But people tend to think it is. Trans people have been a whole lot more accepted than when I was younger, and that's definitely a good thing. Doesn't mean that everybody says that they're trans has to transition, because not everybody it's the right thing for. I knew before I went to my mental health therapist that this was the right thing for me. And even though I allowed those things to be asked, that needed to be asked, because how do I know I didn't miss something that could have changed my mind or changed my mind to start as soon as I start when I did? I might have delayed it because of other things that I would have had to have had taken care of before I medically transitioned. And that's in a 48 year old adult. And I've already had children. All my children are adults now. And they still call me dad or pop. And that's okay. Because that's who I am for them. That's who I am for them. Still. And I'm okay with that. Any parent who whether you transition isn't okay with that. You need some work. You need to get some work done. You leave it up to the child's choice. Because no matter what part of the transition you're going through, you're either their birth mother or you're their father. That doesn't change either. Like I said, biology doesn't change. That doesn't change either. Women can't get themselves pregnant and men can't get pregnant. That's another thing. Another part of the reason why people saying men can get pregnant now. Well, what about trans men? It's because they're female. Trans women do not get periods because we're male. Trans women do not have a uterus. They were never born with the capability or potential capability to get pregnant, which means or the potential to have a period. Sorry, doesn't work that way. Biology matters. Birth biology matters. Base biology still stays the same, whether you transition or not, whether you medically transition or not. If you're a trans woman, you're still a male. If you're a trans man, you're still female. If you actually really care about the trans community getting the medical benefits, medical insurance benefits that we need, you need to stop. Because people are hearing this and they're pushing back. And they're pushing back hard. Where in certain places they should not have to be pushing back on at all. Because all you crybabies want to blabber about lies. Like trans women are women and trans men are men. No. Trans women are male. Trans women or trans men are female. Trans men cannot get trans women can't get periods. There was never a uterus there. That's a requirement, a biological requirement from birth. Trans men can get pregnant because they're still females. They cannot get another female pregnant because they don't have the proper utilities. Means you have to have a penis and testicles. And create a body has to create semen and sperm. Trans men, just because they take testosterone, it doesn't happen. Or they take testosterone, it changes their body, but it doesn't mean that they can get someone pregnant. Just like trans women can't have periods. Trans women can have emotional ups and downs, absolutely. Men can have emotional ups and downs too, but usually not as much as women or trans women. Trans women can get abdominal cramps, but so can everybody else. Doesn't mean it's a period. It's still not a period. A lot of times, if you take some like Pepto-Bismol, you might be able to go in and use the toilet if you're cramping. You're not having a Midol moment. Trans women do not have Midol moments. Sorry, you don't. A uterus is required for that. Because if you have a uterus, then you can have a period. Trans women never had one to begin with. This garbage needs to stop. I understand why some people are getting upset with us. I really do. And then another one. Oh, it just made me think of something else too. Okay. All right. We go to, oh boy. We got men claiming to be trans women to get into women's spaces who put zero or minimal effort into it and still look like a man. I'll wear a dress and makeup and still have a beard and mustache and think that it's okay for them to go into the women's room, restrooms, and women's locker spaces. Or they'll have the fuzz, the 5 o'clock shadow, or a little bit more than a 5 o'clock shadow. You do not belong in the women's restrooms or locker facilities. Put some damn effort into it. Because when you don't, we know what you're going in there for. I don't want you in there when I'm in there. I don't look like a supermodel trans female. But I'll tell you what, I fit in because I put effort into it. And I don't go in there unshaved. If I have to go out while I'm unshaved because I need to have electrolysis done, I don't go into the women's room. How dare you say you can go in there as somebody else say they can go into a women's private spaces like that? How dare you? Who the hell do you think you are? Who died and left you God? Wake the damn it up. And then these retard men who get convicted to go to jail or prison say they're trans so they can go into a women's jail and prison. How dare you? And then they rape women in jail and in prison and they get pregnant. How dare you? Who the hell died and left you God? See where trans activism is going through? Anybody that says they're trans, you just gotta believe them? No, sorry, I don't just have to believe anything. I don't. Neither does anybody else. Don't have to just believe somebody because they say something. That being said, there are people I trust to say something. I believe it because I trust them. I had a relationship with those people. Quality friendships and family members. Men who do that are a disgrace to the human species. Going into saying are trans to get into women's jails or prisons. Trans women who say they get a period, you're a disgrace to trans women and the human species. I am not surprised why insurance companies no longer want to pay for it. Doesn't mean it's right, but I understand it. It's coming from, and then those decisions are becoming coming from those who are lying and deceiving. How many more people is this going to hurt? Hurt enough to attempt suicide and actually commit suicide. Extreme depression that comes with gender dysphoria, gender identity disorder is real. Sorry, it's real and it happens. Happens exponentially more in the trans community than it does in any other community combined. And this stuff is just gonna this crap is just gonna make it worse. And I hope the jail do that. One thing I hope that they figure out when it comes to men saying that they're trans, I hope they get the idea that they can put a couple more cells or whatever, private cells or separated cells, and lock prison space, jail spaces for these people, because that's where they belong. And men are identifying as trans after they get convicted to jail or prison, who have never said anything about it before, because you still belong in a men's jail in prison. Maybe just in a separate section. Just in a separate section. That's all. You don't belong in a women's jail. And then after you get put in a separate section, you have to prove it. Prove it. They won't, because they're cowards. Just like every other man that says they're a trans woman, take access to women's private spaces. You're cowards, and you're there to do harm. And you need to be put in men's jails. Just trust me, maybe not everybody will spot you, but I can. I'll spot you because I know how. If I see it, I'm not letting you get away with it. I will not let you get away with it because you don't belong there. Just look at how I look right now. Does it look like I belong in a men's restroom? Or a men's locker room? One thing I will say right now, because I haven't had a certain surgery down below, I don't belong in a women's locker room. I don't belong showering in a women's locker room. Not yet, anyway. Women are vulnerable, and they know they're vulnerable when it comes to men. And men know that they're vulnerable when it comes to men. Why do you think those who look like men are saying they're trans to get into a woman's private spaces? It's not because they want to give them a birthday present or say Merry Christmas or play Happy Valentine's Day. You woke activists need to shut up and wake up. Or wake up and shut up. I don't care what order you do it in. Because you're harming the community. I have nothing but utter contempt for each and every one of you who are spreading those lies. I do not want you to be harmed. But I have utter contempt for you. Oh, you asshole men that are going into the women's restrooms? You aren't trying? I wouldn't be surprised if you get your ass beat by their boyfriends or their husbands or their other family male members. I do not condone it. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if it's already happened. So when I go into the women's restroom, I go in there to use the toilet, wash my hands, and I'm out the door. Somebody says hi, I say hi. That's it. So I'm not going into a restroom for a social event. This thing called a toilet, a sink, and towels, or an air hand dryer. That's what I'm there to use. Then I leave. Yeah. A guy up in Alaska in the locker room, women's locker room. It's a 12-year-old girl trembling in a towel, scared out of her damn mind. Somebody shaving, a man shaving. How dare you? How dare anybody support that kind of crap? Who the hell do you think you are? If you want to be believed as trans and you say you're part of LGB, oh, so you're lesbian, gay, or bisexual, you're still a man then. But you sure as hell aren't trans. Because trans women will not go into women's spaces in unshaved. Those of us who really are trans, we put effort into it because we do not want women to be scared. We are not there to do harm. We are there to use the restroom and then leave. Well, after we wash our hands, then we leave. Alrighty. Your shit is causing problems for medical benefits being paid for us. And it needs to stop before it started. Anyway, that's how and why it's happening. Medical benefits are starting to be taken away. I'm not going to stand for it. Alrighty. Y'all have a wonderful day, no matter what part of the day you're in. Or a wonderful rest of the day, no matter what part of the day you're in. And if no one told you they love you today, I love you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye for now until next time.